Have you ever stood in front of a door that just wouldn't budge, no matter how hard you pushed? That moment when your heart races, your hands tremble, and yet nothing changes. What if I told you that every closed door in your life isn't a rejection, but a redirection? Something far bigger is unfolding behind the scenes, something you can't yet see. And here's the real question. When your prayers feel like echoes in the void and life twists in ways you never imagined, do you trust that there's a greater plan at work? So many times in life, we find ourselves banging on doors that stubbornly refuse to open. We push, we plead, and we fight, completely convinced that this is where we need to be, and this is how things should go. We craft our plans carefully, set our timelines firmly, and expect everything to fall perfectly into place according to our own understanding. But what happens when those doors stay firmly shut? When those golden opportunities slip right through your fingers like sand? When prayers seem to bounce back unanswered? When life suddenly takes a sharp turn into the unknown, throwing your carefully laid plans into chaos? In those moments, frustration quietly creeps in like a shadow you can't shake. Doubt begins whispering its poisonous lies. Is God even listening? Does he care at all? But listen closely, because here's the truth you need to hear today. God is not ignoring you. He's not withholding blessings just to make you wait. He's not delaying out of cruelty or indifference. No, he is a loving father, a wise shepherd, a perfect guide. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. Imagine a child reaching out for something dangerous, a flickering flame, a jagged knife, or a seemingly harmless object that could cause serious harm. The child cries out in frustration as a loving parent gently pulls them away, protecting them from disaster they don't yet understand. That's exactly how God works in our lives. We think we know what's best, but his vision is far clearer, far wider than ours. He knows which doors lead to blessings and which lead to broken paths and heartache. Maybe you're praying desperately for a job, a relationship, or an opportunity that looks perfect from your perspective. But if that door hasn't opened yet, trust this: God has a reason. Maybe he's shielding you from invisible dangers, or maybe he's preparing to lead you to something so much greater than you ever imagined. The biggest challenge? We get impatient. We grow weary of waiting. We try to force our way into places God never meant for us to enter. And when things inevitably fall apart, we wonder why. But hear me clearly. When God closes a door, it's never to punish or harm you. It's always to protect, to guide, to redirect you towards something better. The real question is, will you trust him? Will you surrender your own will, your timelines, your expectations, and simply let him direct your steps? Because when God opens the right door, no force on earth can close it. And when he closes the wrong one, it's because he loves you too much to let you walk down a path that will hurt you. Not every door that opens is from God. Just because an opportunity appears in front of you doesn't mean it's the right one for your life. So pause, breathe, look beyond the closed doors. Believe that behind each one lies a greater plan, a deeper purpose, and a love that never fails. Just as we talked about how God closes some doors to protect and guide us, it's important to remember this. Every open door we see isn't necessarily the one God wants us to walk through. The world is filled with countless doors wide open, some inviting success, others leading to failure. Some promise fleeting joy, while others end in lifelong regret. This is why discernment becomes absolutely essential. Many people rush through doors that appear right and promising at first glance, only to find themselves trapped in places they never intended to be. They might accept a job that offers a fatter paycheck, but steals their peace and happiness. Or they dive into relationships that seem full of promise, but slowly pull them away from their faith and values. Others chase dreams glittering with worldly success, only to be left feeling hollow and empty inside. Why does this happen? Because not every open door is truly from God. The enemy is cunning. He knows exactly how to disguise the wrong path with attractive colors and enticing promises. He dangles what looks like a blessing right in front of you, but in reality, it's a distraction designed to keep you from your true purpose. That's why it's so important to seek God's wisdom before stepping forward. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 14:12, "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death." Just because a door stands open doesn't mean it's yours to enter. Some doors are tests, meant to measure your faith and patience. Some are traps, set to catch the careless. Others exist simply to teach you endurance, encouraging you to wait for the right one to open at the perfect time. So how can you tell if a door is from God? How do you know when to walk through and when to step back? Here's what you need to look for. God's doors come with peace, not confusion. They align with His word, not compromise. They lead to growth and blessing, not destruction and regret. The right door will never ask you to sacrifice your integrity, your values, or your relationship with Him. Before rushing in, stop and pray. Seek His guidance. Ask with a humble heart, "Lord, is this door from you?" Then wait patiently for His answer. If the door is truly from God, it won't just be open, it will be right. And when it's right, no one and nothing can close it. Waiting is one of the toughest challenges we face. We live in a world that prizes speed, efficiency, and instant results. We want breakthroughs right now, answers immediately, doors flung wide open without delay. But God doesn't work on our clock. His timing is perfect, even if it doesn't match our own. His delays aren't denials, they're divine preparations. When God asks us to wait, it's never wasted time. It's time to prepare, to grow, to strengthen. Look at the greatest figures in the Bible. Before stepping into their destiny, they had to endure seasons of waiting and refining. Joseph had a dream about leading a nation, yet he spent years languishing in prison before seeing it fulfilled. Moses knew he was called to guide his people, but 40 years passed as he wandered the wilderness before God sent him. Even Jesus, the Son of God, waited 30 years quietly preparing before beginning his public ministry. Why? Because God was shaping them, building their character, and equipping them for the incredible doors He would open. When we try to rush ahead of God, we risk stumbling into battles we're not ready for or making decisions we'll regret. But when we wait on Him, He strengthens our faith, refines our character, and prepares us perfectly for what lies ahead. So be patient, trust the process, because when the right door finally swings open, you'll be ready to walk through it with confidence, knowing you're stepping exactly where God intended. When that right door finally opens, you won't just walk through it blindly. You'll step in with wisdom, maturity, and unwavering faith. Some of you have been waiting a long time for God to open a door in your life. Maybe you're longing for a breakthrough, a fresh opportunity, or a dramatic change in your current situation. And yet, here you are, wondering, "God, why haven't you answered me yet?" Let me assure you, God is actively working, even in the waiting. He's orchestrating things behind the scenes, things you can't see yet. He's carefully aligning circumstances, people, and moments to prepare you for what's coming next. So don't despise this season of waiting. Instead, use it as a precious time to grow in faith, to draw nearer to Him, and to prepare your heart. Because when that perfect door swings open, you won't just walk through it. You'll be ready for it. And when God's timing and your readiness align, nothing and no one can stop the blessings He has planned for you. We've all faced it. A door we desperately wanted to walk through suddenly shuts. A dream we chased falls apart. An opportunity that looked perfect slips right through our hands. In those moments, it's easy to feel crushed, frustrated, or even abandoned. We ask, "God, why did you let this happen to me?" But what if I told you that those very closed doors often lead us to something far greater? God sees the entire tapestry of our lives. He knows what lies around each corner. He understands the dangers hidden behind the doors we were never meant to enter. Sometimes the doors we push hardest to open would have led us to destruction, heartbreak, or years wasted on the wrong path. What looks like rejection, it's often God's protection. What feels like a missed opportunity, it's actually a divine redirection. Think about it. If you had received every single thing you ever wanted, would you truly be standing exactly where God wants you to be today? How many times have you looked back and thanked God for not giving you what you begged for? The relationship that ended just in time, the job that didn't work out, the plans that crumbled. What if those closed doors were not endings but stepping stones, guiding you forward to something better? The truth is, when God closes a door, it's never to punish you. It's always to guide you. He knows the path you should walk, and He loves you too much to let you settle for anything less than His absolute best. So, if you're facing a closed door right now, don't let discouragement win. Instead, trust that God is leading you exactly where you need to be. Hold on to your faith, keep your heart strong, because the door He opens next, that will be the right one. And here's the powerful truth. When God opens a door, nothing and no one can shut it. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting God, even when you don't understand what's coming next. When God opens a door, He rarely hands you a full blueprint or a detailed map showing every twist and turn on the other side. He doesn't always explain the entire journey ahead. Instead, He says, walk by faith, not by sight. So many hesitate when they see an open door because they don't feel ready. They want guarantees. They want perfect clarity before taking the first step. But that's not how faith works. When God called Abraham, He simply said, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. Genesis 12:1. No GPS, no exact directions, just a call to trust. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, Jesus didn't first calm the storm. He just said, come. Faith requires action, even when the path isn't clear. Maybe you're standing right now in front of a door God has already opened, but fear is holding you back. You're waiting for more clarity, a perfect plan, absolute certainty. But God is saying, trust me. You don't have to see the whole picture. Just take the next step. If the door is truly from God, He will provide everything you need along the way. Strength for the journey, wisdom for the decisions, grace for the challenges. But you must be willing to walk in obedience. Some of the greatest blessings come the moment we step out in faith, even when we don't have all the answers. So, don't let fear keep you stuck. If God is leading, move forward. The same God who opened the door will be with you every single step of the way. And when you trust Him, you'll discover that His plans and ways are always far greater than anything you could have imagined or planned on your own. Nobody likes closed doors. When things don't work out, we feel rejected, forgotten, even punished. But have you ever thought that God uses those closed doors not just to guide you, but to build you? Faith isn't only about walking through open doors. It's about trusting God even when doors stay shut. Waiting seasons, delays, and disappointments are never wasted in God's hands. When you pray for patience, He doesn't just hand it to you. He teaches it through the process. When you pray for stronger faith, He doesn't simply give it. He places you in situations where you must learn to trust Him deeper. Every closed door is an opportunity to grow, a test of your faith, and a moment of refining. Think about David. He was anointed as king when he was still young, but he didn't sit on the throne right away. Instead, he spent years running for his life, hiding in caves, facing betrayal and loneliness. God had already opened the door to David's destiny, but before he could step through it, he needed to be prepared. Those hardships, those closed doors, that long waiting, It all shaped him into the man God intended him to be. David became the man God needed him to be. Right now, you might feel stuck behind a closed door. You've prayed, you've waited, and it seems like nothing is changing. But hear me clearly. God is working in ways you simply cannot see. He is strengthening you, shaping you, and preparing you for the right door at just the right time. So don't grow weary, don't lose hope, keep trusting, keep believing, and above all, keep walking in obedience. Because when that door finally opens, you'll look back and realize something incredible. All the waiting, the struggles, and the setbacks, they weren't delays or punishments. They were essential parts of God's perfect plan to prepare you for the amazing blessing He has in store. Remember, not every door that looks good is from God. The enemy is a master of disguise. He knows how to dress up traps as opportunities. He can make deception sparkle so brightly that it looks like a blessing. If you're not careful, you can easily walk through doors that seem right, only to find yourself far from God's plan. Think about Jesus in the wilderness. The devil tempted him with what seemed like an easy way out: power, glory, provision. "If you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread," he said. It looked like an open door, but it was a trap. The enemy was trying to lure Jesus into self-reliance, into stepping outside God's perfect will. But Jesus saw through the deception. He refused to take the shortcut. He chose obedience over opportunity. How many times do we fall for doors that aren't from God? A job that pays well, but pulls us away from our faith. A relationship that feels exciting, but leads us to compromise. A business deal that looks profitable, but forces us to cut corners. Not every open door is a blessing. Some are distractions, some are temptations, and some are direct attacks from the enemy. This is exactly why discernment is so crucial. The Bible tells us to test the spirits to see whether they are from God. 1 John 4:1. If a door asks you to compromise your integrity, it's not from God. If it draws you away from your faith, it's not from God. If it fills your heart with anxiety, confusion, or unrest, it's not from God. The enemy's doors often seem easier. They promise quick success, instant gratification, and worldly approval, but those come with a hidden price. God's doors, on the other hand, may require faith, patience, and obedience, but they always lead to life, peace, and true fulfillment. So before stepping through any open door, pause and ask God, is this from you? Seek His guidance, measure the opportunity against His word, and follow His peace. Because when the right door comes, you won't need to force it, fear it, or compromise to walk through it. It will be from God, and it will lead you exactly where He wants you to be. When God opens a door, it always comes with peace. Yes, it might stretch you. Yes, it will require faith, but it will never bring confusion, desperation, or anxiety. God's direction doesn't come wrapped in fear. It comes wrapped in peace, assurance, and calm confidence that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Assurance, even in the unknown. Too often, we chase after opportunities that look good on the surface, but leave us feeling restless inside. We try to force doors open because we believe we need to, only to find ourselves drained, struggling, and uncertain. But that's not how God works. His will is never chaotic, and His plans don't come wrapped in overwhelming stress or endless confusion. Remember, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. If you find yourself forcing something, losing sleep over a decision, or torn between what you know is right and what seems easier, then that door may not be from God. Look at how Jesus moved through life. He never rushed. He never panicked. Even when storms raged, opposition rose, and the cross loomed ahead, He walked in peace. That same peace is how God leads His people. When the right door opens, it won't drag you into fear. It will pull you into faith. You might not have all the answers, but you will have a deep inner knowing that God is in control. That doesn't mean the path will be free of challenges. God's doors require trust and perseverance. But even in the trials, there will be a confident assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. You won't have to beg for it, manipulate circumstances, or compromise your values to make it work. God's doors come with peace because they are part of His perfect plan. So, when you stand before an opportunity, ask yourself, does this bring peace or pressure? Does it align with God's word or require compromise? Because the right door, the one God opens, won't just be available, it will be right. And when you step through it, you will know that His hand has guided you there. When God opens a door, no one can shut it. No opposition, no darkness, no human interference can stop what God has ordained for your life. When He declares a path, it doesn't matter who doubts you, who stands against you, or what obstacles arise. The will of God shall be done. We see this truth throughout Scripture. When God told Noah to build the ark, the world mocked him. But the rain still came. When God raised Joseph to be a ruler in Egypt, his brothers betrayed him, but the dream was fulfilled. When God led the Israelites out of slavery, Pharaoh tried to stop them, but the Red Sea still parted. Nothing and no one can close a door that God Himself has opened. Yet so often, we fear what others think. We worry about resistance, setbacks, and delays. We assume that if a door comes with challenges, maybe it wasn't meant for us. But hear me clearly. Just because opposition appears doesn't mean the door isn't from God. In fact, many times the right doors come with challenges because the enemy is trying to stop you from stepping into your calling. But here's the good news. If God has opened that door, it will stay open until you walk through it. No one can sabotage what God has ordained. No critic, no enemy, no obstacle can change His plan. The only thing that can keep you from stepping into His blessing is your own doubt and hesitation. So if you know God has opened a door, don't be afraid. Walk forward in faith. Trust that His power is greater than any resistance. Because when God opens a door, it is for His purpose, and nothing in heaven or on earth can stop it. No one can shut what God has declared. When God opens a door, it won't require you to compromise your faith, your integrity, or your relationship with Him. The right doors always align with His word. They don't demand that you sacrifice your character to walk through them. Too many people chase success at the cost of their soul. They take shortcuts, bend the truth, and make choices that go against God's principles just to get ahead. They tell themselves, "I'll fix it later," or "God will understand." But listen carefully. God's blessings don't come through compromise. A door that requires you to lower your standards, betray your convictions, or step outside of God's will is not from Him. Remember Daniel. He had every opportunity to compromise while living in Babylon. He could have eaten the king's food, bowed to idols, and blended into the culture, but he refused. He stayed faithful. Because of that, God opened doors that no one could shut. He was promoted, protected, and given great influence in a foreign land, not because he chased after opportunity, but because he remained obedient. God doesn't need you to sin to bless you. He doesn't need you to lie, cheat, manipulate, or cut corners to fulfill His plan. The doors He opens will never ask you to abandon your faith. They may stretch you, they may require trust, but they will never pull you away from Him. So before you step through any door, ask yourself, does this align with God's word? Will this bring me closer to Him or pull me away? Am I having to compromise my values to make this work? Because if a door is truly from God, it will lead you into His presence, not away from it. And the blessings that come through obedience will always be far greater than anything gained through compromise. When God opens the right door, it brings lasting blessings, not just temporary gains. Too many people chase quick success, instant gratification, and fleeting rewards, only to find themselves empty and unfulfilled. But when God opens a door, it leads to something greater, something that lasts beyond the moment. The world teaches us to chase after wealth, status, and recognition. It tells us success is measured by what we achieve, how much we own, and how others see us. But God's blessings are different. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it. When God opens a door, the blessings that come with it won't bring regret, guilt, or emptiness. They won't leave you feeling like something is missing. Think about Solomon. He had everything the world could offer: wealth, wisdom, power. But in the end, he realized life without God was meaningless. He said, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." Ecclesiastes 1:2. The greatest doors are not the ones that lead to worldly riches or fleeting success. The doors that bring only temporary success are not the ones we should chase. Instead, we must seek the doors that bring eternal impact, doors that change our lives in ways that last far beyond this moment. That's why it's so important to be careful. Don't chase after doors promising quick results, but leaving you spiritually empty and restless. Just because an opportunity looks good on the surface doesn't mean it's truly from God. And just because it comes quickly doesn't mean it will stand the test of time. Some doors open fast, but they close just as quickly. Some lead to success that fades away, relationships that fall apart, and dreams that turn into bitter disappointments. They may look promising at first, but in the end, they leave you feeling empty and lost. But when God opens a door, it brings real, lasting joy, a joy that cannot be shaken no matter what happens. It brings peace that no one can take away, a peace that calms your soul and anchors your heart. So don't just look for open doors, look for the right doors. Don't just seek blessings, seek the ones that will remain and grow with you. Because what comes from God isn't just good for a season, it's good for your soul, your future, and your eternity. When God opens a door, it will require your obedience and your courage. Many people pray for opportunities, breakthroughs, and new paths. But when the door finally opens, they hesitate. They overthink, question, and delay, waiting for every single thing to be perfect before stepping through. But an open door means nothing if you don't walk through it. Look at the Israelites. God opened the door for them to enter the promised land, but an entire generation missed out because they hesitated in fear. They focused on the giants instead of the promise, on the obstacles instead of God's power. The door was wide open, but their disobedience kept them from stepping through and claiming what was theirs. How many times has God presented you with an opportunity, but fear held you back? How many times have you sensed His call, yet hesitated, waiting for more signs or confirmations? Hear me clearly. When God opens a door, He expects you to move forward in faith. He won't always give you the full picture, but He will always give you the very next step you need to take. Think about Peter walking on water. Jesus said, "Come." Peter could have stayed safely in the boat, waiting for the waves to calm and the perfect moment to appear. But the miracle didn't happen while he was sitting. It happened when he stepped out in faith. Your miracle, your breakthrough, your next level, it's always on the other side of obedience and courage. Maybe God has opened a door for you right now, but you're afraid to walk through it. Maybe He's calling you to step out of your comfort zone, to trust Him, even when the path ahead looks uncertain and risky. Don't let fear steal your destiny. Because God's open doors aren't just invitations, they're opportunities for transformation, growth, and blessings that last a lifetime. So take a deep breath, step forward boldly, and watch how God moves on your behalf when you choose to obey. Starting something new, leaving a familiar place, taking a leap of faith into the unknown. Maybe right now you're standing at that very threshold, overwhelmed with thoughts like, what if I fail? But what if you don't? What if this door God is opening for you is the very answer to all those prayers you've been pouring out? What if this is the moment He has been quietly preparing you for, molding you in ways you didn't even realize. Don't let fear chain you to the familiar or keep you frozen in hesitation. Don't wait for the perfect timing or the full picture, because when God says move, that's your cue. Remember, delayed obedience is still disobedience. When God opens a door, your job is to step through it with faith, even when the path ahead looks unclear or risky. Because on the other side of your obedience lies the blessing you've been longing for, the breakthrough, the shift, the new chapter. But here's the thing, when God opens a door, it's never just about your personal success or comfort. It leads to a purpose so much greater than what you can see. Too often, we look at open doors purely in terms of what they will give us, how they will bless us, advance our careers, or fulfill our dreams. But God's doors, they are never just about us. They are about His glory and His kingdom being advanced through our lives. Think about Esther. She was placed in the palace, given a position of immense influence. It wasn't so she could enjoy luxury or comfort. It was so she could save an entire nation from destruction. As she was reminded, who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. The door God opens for you isn't merely for your benefit. It's about what He wants to accomplish through you. If God opens a door for a new job, it's not just to provide a paycheck. It's so you can be a shining light in that workplace, demonstrating His love and integrity. If He opens a door for a new relationship, it's not just to fill a void or offer companionship. It's so that together you can glorify Him and impact others. If He grants you influence, a platform, or resources, it's not just for your own enjoyment or gain. It's so you can bless those around you, lifting others up and furthering His kingdom. God's doors always come with a bigger purpose. They extend beyond your personal gain and fit into His divine, eternal plan. Look at Joseph. God opened the door for him to become ruler of Egypt. But it wasn't for Joseph's personal comfort or status. It was so he could save countless lives during a devastating famine. Look at Paul. Doors opened for him to preach the gospel in cities, far and wide, not for his ease, but for the salvation of many souls. So when God opens a door in your life, pause and ask yourself this important question. How can this opportunity be used to advance His kingdom? How can this position, blessing, or influence become a tool for His glory? Because the doors God opens are never just for us. They are for His grand and glorious purpose. The doors God opens are never just about you. They are about advancing His divine plan here on earth. When you step through them with that mindset, you will discover a purpose far greater than anything you could have imagined. When God opens a door, it won't be forced. It will flow naturally. Too often, we try to push things forward with our own strength. We strain, manipulate, and try to bend circumstances to our will, thinking that's the only way to make things work. But when God opens a door, you won't have to struggle endlessly just to keep it open. His doors open with divine alignment, not human effort. Look at the story of Paul. He wanted to preach the gospel in Asia, but the Holy Spirit stopped him. He tried to go to Bithynia, but again, the door was closed. Then, in a vision, God directed him to Macedonia, and suddenly everything fell into place. Paul didn't have to force it. God made the way clear. Maybe some of you are exhausted, trying to push through a door that won't open. You're knocking, banging, doing everything in your power, yet nothing changes. Maybe that's because it's not the door God has for you. When the right door opens, you won't have to beg for it, compromise for it, or manipulate others to keep it open. It will come with grace. Now, this doesn't mean there won't be challenges. Even God's open doors require faith and perseverance. But there's a difference between fighting the enemy and fighting God's plan. If you constantly feel resistance, turmoil, and frustration, it may be a sign you're forcing something God hasn't ordained. But when you walk through the right door, there will be a deep confirmation in your spirit. The right connections will come at the right time. The right resources will appear when you need them. Things will align, not because you made it happen, but because God did. So take a step back. Stop striving in your own strength. If the door is from God, it will open in His perfect way and perfect timing. And when it does, you'll know it won't be by your power, but by His hand. When God opens the right door, it comes with peace, purpose, protection, and divine alignment. You won't have to force it, compromise for it, or live in fear of losing it. What God ordains, no one can shut. What He sets in motion, no one can stop. The key is to trust Him, wait on His timing, walk in obedience, and step forward in faith when He calls. Maybe today you're standing before a closed door, wondering why nothing seems to be working out. You've been knocking, striving, trying everything, yet nothing moves. Don't lose heart. If God hasn't opened it yet, trust that He has something better waiting for you. His delays are not denials. His closed doors are not punishments. They are protections. Or maybe the door is open, but you're hesitating. You see the opportunity, but fear holds you back. Let me tell you this. If God has opened that door, it's time to step through. You don't need every answer. You don't need everything figured out. You just need faith. Because when God opens a door, He goes with you. So today, release the doors you were never meant to walk through. Stop forcing what God has closed. And when the right door opens, walk through it with boldness. Because His ways are higher than ours. His plans are greater than ours. And the doors He opens will always lead you to something far beyond what you could ever imagine. The doors God opens are never just about you. They are about advancing His divine plan here on earth. When you step through them with that mindset, you will discover a purpose far greater than anything you could have imagined. When God opens a door, it won't be forced. It will flow naturally. Too often, we try to push things forward with our own strength. We strain, manipulate, and try to bend circumstances to our will, thinking that's the only way to make things work. But when God opens a door, you won't have to struggle endlessly just to keep it open. His doors open with divine alignment, not human effort. Look at the story of Paul. He wanted to preach the gospel in Asia, but the Holy Spirit stopped him. He tried to go to Bithynia, but again, the door was closed. Then, in a vision, God directed him to Macedonia, and suddenly everything fell into place. Paul didn't have to force it. God made the way clear. Maybe some of you are exhausted trying to push through a door that won't open. You're knocking, banging, doing everything in your power, yet nothing changes. Maybe that's because it's not the door God has for you. When the right door opens, you won't have to beg for it, compromise for it, or manipulate others to keep it open. It will come with grace. Now, this doesn't mean there won't be challenges. Even God's open doors require faith and perseverance. But there's a difference between fighting the enemy and fighting God's plan. If you constantly feel resistance, turmoil, and frustration, it may be a sign you're forcing something God hasn't ordained. But when you walk through the right door, there will be a deep confirmation in your spirit. The right connections will come at the right time. The right resources will appear when you need them. Things will align, not because you made it happen, but because God did. So take a step back. Stop striving in your own strength. If the door is from God, it will open in His perfect way and perfect timing. And when it does, you'll know it won't be by your power, but by His hand. When God opens the right door, it comes with peace, purpose, protection, and divine alignment. You won't have to force it, compromise for it, or live in fear of losing it. What God ordains, no one can shut. What He sets in motion, no one can stop. The key is to trust Him, wait on His timing, walk in obedience, and step forward in faith when He calls. Maybe today you're standing before a closed door, wondering why nothing seems to be working out. You've been knocking, striving, trying everything, yet nothing moves. Don't lose heart. If God hasn't opened it yet, trust that He has something better waiting for you. His delays are not denials. His closed doors are not punishments. They are protections. Or maybe the door is open, but you're hesitating. You see the opportunity, but fear holds you back. Let me tell you this. If God has opened that door, it's time to step through. You don't need every answer. You don't need everything figured out. You just need faith. Because when God opens a door, He goes with you. So today, release the doors you were never meant to walk through. Stop forcing what God has closed. And when the right door opens, walk through it with boldness. Because His ways are higher than ours. His plans are greater than ours. And the doors He opens will always lead you to something far beyond what you could ever imagine. Now, imagine for a moment the peace that floods your soul when you stop struggling and start trusting. Imagine stepping through a door that's been waiting for you and feeling a calm assurance wash over you, even though the path beyond is unclear. That's the kind of peace that defies understanding. It's a peace that doesn't come from circumstances, but from the unshakable presence of God walking right beside you. And that presence will guide you every step of the way. No matter what challenges arise after you walk through that door, no matter what obstacles come your way, you won't walk alone. You'll have the strength, wisdom, and grace to navigate every twist and turn. Because God doesn't just open doors and leave us to fend for ourselves. He equips us to thrive in the new seasons He brings us into. So whatever you're facing, today, remember this. Your current season of waiting or struggle is not wasted. It's part of God's perfect preparation. The closed doors, the delays, the unanswered prayers, they're shaping you, strengthening you, and positioning you for the blessing ahead. Don't rush ahead in your own strength, and don't settle for less by forcing open doors that aren't meant for you. Trust God's timing. Trust His wisdom. Trust that His plan for you is good, perfect, and pleasing. Step forward in faith when He calls you, and watch how He moves mountains to make a way where there seems to be no way. The future He's preparing for you is more glorious than you can imagine, so stand firm, be patient, and keep your eyes fixed on Him. Because when God opens a door, it's not just a new opportunity, it's a divine appointment, and nothing can stop what God has planned for your life. So now, I want to hear from you. What doors has God been opening in your life? Are there doors you've been hesitant to walk through? Or maybe you're still waiting on a door to open and wondering when it will happen. Drop a comment below and share your story. Let's encourage one another and build a community of faith that supports each other through every open door and every closed one. And if this message has spoken to your heart, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a moment of inspiration here. Remember, God's timing is perfect, and His plans for you are greater than you can imagine. Step forward with faith. Today, the door is open. Now walk through it boldly. I believe in you, and more importantly, God believes in you too. See you in the next video.